Hi, my name is Greg Wilmot, and this is my sixth video in the series called Mental Health and Isolation. If you've been following the series so far, you would have heard me talk about how we're linking thoughts and feelings together. And yesterday, I showed how often kind of catastrophic thoughts and feelings can lead to a misinterpretation of physiological sensations, and what we get are kind of panic attacks. I'm talking about panic attacks and anxiety and depression because these are quite common experiences and common problems that people bring to psychology practices. And the hope of this video is that by giving you some tools and some skills to be able to kind of evaluate your own feeling state and some of the thoughts that are being drawn, you're able to kind of, during this period of social isolation, be able to maintain your own happiness and health and mental health. So something I want to touch on a little bit is that we're getting, again, so many messages and so much information at the moment about the COVID-19 pandemic. I mean, even this video is about that. It makes us very aware of kind of danger and the possibility of bad things happening. So there's the potential that if one wakes up in the morning with a sore head and sore throat and you're coughing a bit, without the correct checks and balances, we can end up kind of drawing quite problematic conclusions that I now have the coronavirus, and that leading to a whole lot more anxiety and a whole lot more stress and unhappiness. But an important thing is that we're able to kind of challenge some of the assumptions and look at the evidence very carefully on some of these assumptions that we are making. We are well aware, and it's been well established in the course of the history of psychology, that humans do have the capacity to kind of draw false conclusions and quite poor evidence. And this links with why I've been talking about the expectations and I must or I should, because similarly we do impose kind of strong expectations on ourselves because we draw sometimes problematic conclusions based on past relationships, bad experiences that we've had in the past, but also particularly kind of how our thinking thinks. We've been socialized and been developed into thinking in certain kinds of ways. And a lot of a psychology process is about helping people understand, as I like to call it, about how their thinking thinks and where does it sometimes draw these kind of problematic conclusions. So what we do often in therapy processes is actually kind of help people look at where is the evidence. This is a really valuable principle to come out of cognitive behavioral therapy. And where people are kind of drawing quite strong conclusions, we very gently kind of engage in a process where we go, okay, cool, we respect and we understand your conclusion, but how did you draw that conclusion and based on what evidence? Obviously, it's very difficult to kind of have this conversation if one's not already in a kind of quite a calm and relaxed state. So you would have seen again in one of my previous videos, I spoke about the 4-7-8 breathing technique, where being able to slow your heart rate down, to breathe slower, become a little bit distracted by the counting and the physiological sensations, then our thinking is going to be a lot calmer, a lot more relaxed, and we can start looking at some of the assumptions and the evidence that things are kind of based on. It is important to go, how do I feel? What do I believe is happening? How have I drawn these conclusions? But also to be able to kind of, from a calm position, then be able to kind of lay down the evidence kind of for and against the conclusions that you're drawing. In depression, again, that would be things like I'm unworthy, or I'm unlovable, or I'm not capable of having a relationship and the like. So we gently kind of get people to go, okay, cool, so where's the evidence for this? And in a similar way, you can kind of look at some of the conclusions that you're drawing and be able to kind of put them in two columns side by side. Importantly, that sometimes we need to completely disengage and step away from some messages. And I think that a common message coming out from other psychologists and globally is that we do need to kind of sometimes step away from the news, step away from media sources and conversations. And there's nothing wrong with kind of distracting oneself appropriately. I'm quite sure globally we've seen kind of television and kind of internet streaming rates have gone up inordinately because we've got a little bit more time in our hands, but also it's a way of distracting ourselves. And that's in and of itself, in the short term, not a bad thing at all. But when we are helping people challenge kind of conclusions, and I think particularly kind of high anxiety and phobias here, that where someone sees a picture of a snake, I am scared that I'm going to be bitten by a snake, or I see a dog and I immediately draw a conclusion that I'm in danger. And that's not always drawn based on very good kind of evidence. And we'd very gently introduce people to kind of stimulus, what we call through a graded exposure, to kind of increasing the kind of like strong amounts of kind of stimulus, so that the person would realize that the cognitions and the thoughts that they're having and the conclusions that they're drawing aren't always based on kind of sound evidence. Although you might have a strong physiological kind of response that you're in danger, it's not always kind of congruent and doesn't match up with actually kind of the real amount of danger that you are in at the moment. So we try to kind of base a lot of how we draw conclusions in psychology on very good evidence. If you're going to kind of research stuff and engage, check that your evidence sources are sound. Where is it coming from? Who are the people writing it? Is it rational? Is it positive? Has it been verified? And can it be done in a very calm and realistic kind of a way? As much as we are about emotions, I suppose sometimes we're dispassionate and quite cold and analytical, but that sometimes really helps us draw the best conclusion, and it certainly is a much better stepping stone to building resilience. So if you have any questions, there's more stuff you'd like to know, please do message me or email me. I will keep these coming up onto the internet, and I look forward to hearing from you again soon. All right, cheers, bye.